I don't think it's a coincidence that videos that I have made in the past about how I moved to Italy as an American are seeing a lot of traction the last couple days. I wonder what could have possibly triggered this reaction from people searching to leave the US.
This is kind of shocking. An Italian village is offering $1 homes to Americans to relocate after the election. All you basically have to do is request the house that you're looking for. And I quote, the chance to buy an extraordinarily cheap escape in a picturesque village far away from US politics.
Hello, in case you're like, oh, how do I move to Europe as an American? I'm here to tell you it's a lot easier than you think. You need to start with one thing, and it's called a CV, and it's just a resume. All you have to do is research the country you want to move to, type in like France CV, Germany CV, and cater your resume to that style. They do like to see a photo, and then shoot that CV out to as many companies in the EU as you can. It's Europe. They're used to hiring people outside of the EU. You can do it. I've done it twice. I've lived in Munich and I've lived in Paris as an American, and I don't have ancestry, like Italian ancestry or anything, to get me a passport. Just me and my US passport. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's a lot better out here.
You're not depressed, you just live in the US. I moved from the US to Europe and I plan on never going back. Living here has been so affordable and stress-free. I even had my baby here. It cost me about $1,300 to give birth here, and I got paid $400 by the state to have a baby here. It's just such a different culture here. Like, people aren't only centered by their work and their job. You get to actually enjoy life and do things on your own time. And I feel like right now is probably the best time to leave the US. And yes, that's everywhere in the world, but it's just so different when you live in a country other than the US. I moved to a tiny country in Europe for the past year, and I am 6 hours ahead of the US. So that means 3 p.m. here is 9 a.m. there. So I have until 3 p.m. every single day to do whatever I want to do. It's been incredible. So if you can, move out of the US and live in another country, because life is just so much simpler elsewhere. The food is better, the air is cleaner, the education is free, the healthcare is free, and you'll have a lot higher quality of life elsewhere other than the US.
2016, Trump got elected, and I knew I couldn't raise my son in that environment. So by 2019, I was out, living in Germany, starting fresh. Healthcare that's tied to your job, education that puts you in debt for life. I knew I needed something different for my son. And Germany gave me that. Healthcare for everyone, education that's affordable, parental leave. But even then, I didn't understand how much living in Germany would change my life. Things that could be a reality in the US if leaders like Kamala Harris are elected. I know that I've been relatively quiet for a year. Life got overwhelming. I didn't feel like I could show up here in a meaningful way. Now with the 2024 election here, I'm watching from afar, but I'm still hoping that Kamala can bring real change. Universal health care, stronger education, better social systems, the kinds of things that made me leave the US are the kinds of things that can bring hope back. To everyone voting today, thank you. Your voice matters. We're in this together. The world's watching.
I'm tired of living in the US. I'm leaving America to move to a country that I've never been to before. I don't know anybody who has been there. I just booked my one-way flight and I'm wondering where it is. I'll tell you. I'm moving to Albania. Now, I know you might be thinking, where the hell is Albania and why would you go there? And if you're black, you're probably thinking, do they even like black people? I don't know much about that last one. We're gonna have to figure that out together, but we'll talk about the first two. Why Albania? So I chose Albania mainly because of the lower cost of living. Easy visa process for Americans. One thing I want is a walkable city with a lower cost of living where I'm able to enjoy myself, go out, meet people, and still have a great base to travel from to other countries around Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. And Tirana gives me all of that. Apartments in Tirana go for around 450 euro to maybe 800 euro if you're looking for a really bougie apartment. US dollar in Albania goes very, very, very far. If you're looking for day in the life videos, cost breakdowns, I will be doing those. So those are the reasons why I am moving to Albania. If you're interested to see my journey, make sure to hit that follow button and I'll see you when I see you.
Buy the ticket. Buy the ticket, move to Europe. You will not regret it. I took a one-way flight to Europe in January of 2022. For that year, I did whatever I wanted to. I drank a lot. I ate a lot. I ordered food multiple times a month, multiple times a week. I did whatever I wanted to. I shopped. I had a great time. And I was living off of about $15,000 in savings. That $15,000 lasted me an entire year in Europe, doing whatever I wanted to do. I traveled for an entire month all around Europe. I traveled to different countries throughout the entire year. I had an absolute blast. I partied. I spent my money. And I didn't run out of money somehow. I also did have a job for like 2 months. I had a job in Athens. I worked at a club just for fun. It wasn't because I needed the money. But you can get a job there. Like, you easily can get a job there and make some side money, you know. But do it. Just do it. You won't regret it. Since coming back to the USA, I have racked up $20,000 in credit card debt. Genuinely don't know how. I mean, I'm not making a lot of money, but genuinely no idea how it happened. Like, that's almost impossible to do in Europe. Have $20,000 in credit card debt within a year and a half. That's literally impossible. So yeah, my advice is do it. Go.
There's 3 things I wish I had known before moving from the US to Italy. Number 3 is about driver's licenses. I didn't research this because I didn't have a reason to. I knew that I wasn't going to have a car and I wouldn't be driving. But what I wish I knew is when you move to Italy, you can drive on your US license for a year after you become a resident. But to drive legally, you need an international driving permit that you can only get in the US. I didn't know that till I got here, so I couldn't rent a car or do anything driving-wise the first year I was here. After a year, you need to get an Italian driver's license. It's very expensive. It involves basically taking driving school, written exam, the whole thing as if you're a new driver, and the exam is only in Italian, French, and I think German, but it's not offered in English. It's notoriously very difficult. I might do it at one point if I decide to get a car one day, but I didn't know that before I arrived, and it's something you should know if you're planning to have a car and moving to Italy. Number 2, in Italy, if you rent an apartment from an agency, they will charge you from 1 to 2 months of rent as a fee. Usually the deposit is usually 2 months, so it's usually like 5 or 6 months of rent to move into a place. I already knew that going in. I was already prepared. What I didn't know is that if you're a foreigner, even if you are a dual citizen and you're there completely legally, in Italy it's very difficult to rent a long-term apartment. If you are a digital nomad or a freelancer, or if you just have a remote job that's based in another country, you can show bank statements, you can show a bunch of money in the bank, but a lot of landlords will not rent to you unless you have a work contract based in Italy. I had a job, but it was based in China, so I did have some issues looking for an apartment. The number 1 thing that I wish I knew sooner before moving to Italy, it's still ongoing because I still don't really know, it's what to do about investing and retirement planning. Last couple years, I started putting money in 401ks, mutual funds, I think, ETFs, whatever. There was a lot of things I was like exploring. I assumed that I could still, since I have those accounts, that I could still continue doing that. But I found out kind of recently that as a US citizen, if you live in Italy or a lot of other European countries, you can't just keep investing in the same things that we can invest in from the US. I still don't understand it at all, but there's some things that are European based that I'm not allowed to invest in either as a US citizen, even though I'm also an Italian citizen. It seems really complicated, and so I'm a little worried. I know that I can't rely on Social Security, so I have to figure out something else to do, but I have no idea what. If you have any questions about any of these, leave them in the comments and follow for more moving abroad tips.